which is all about the India-Nordic Summit, the way the ties have been elevated and the kind of outcomes that are being seen in a list of 8 that has been put out, and the statement too, the joint statement issued by the leaders as well. We are joined by Ambassador Anil Kumar Trigunayat, the former senior diplomat. Good evening to you, Ambassador Trigunayat. What do you make of the kind of deliberations that the leaders had and the way that they have decided to move forward in terms of further enhancing India and Nordic nation ties through the summit in Oslo?
Well, Gautam, I think that this was much awaited visit of Prime Minister for this India-Nordic Summit. Of course, he has been to Sweden and then he had the bilateral visit in Norway, which has also been elevated to a green strategic partnership. And this was the visit in Norway of the 43 years, I think, later, which has been much awaited, and it has been delayed by a year or so because of the Pahalgam attacks. But as we know that these countries may be small, but they have these something very unique, and I have served there, so I know it that the R&D, the innovation, their climate resilience, and attachment to these things and the commitment to these are extremely important. So they do understand that they by themselves are small markets, but in terms of technology, in terms of creating very big companies, and creating some kind of examples. For example, Norway itself, it's an oil-rich nation, right? But compared to many other countries which are oil-rich, they created a futuristic kind of reserve and not use all the funds or the money that they have procured, but they continue and they have been investing all over in India as well. Billions of dollars have been invested out of that. So they stay committed, they stay innovative, and that's something that I believe is extremely important for India, which is currently on a very different kind of a ladder and moving into the technological domain. So I must tell you that in these countries, the technology is something, and our research and development, the industry and academia, these are some of the relationships that are extremely important and have been very well embedded and could perhaps be very useful for India also to do so. Now, as you know, this India-Nordic Summit, which is the third one, which happened and has been fully institutionalized, where all the Nordic country leaders from Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Norway and Sweden, all 5 of them were present, even though Prime Minister Modi was there in Sweden just before coming here in Norway. So here what we have seen is that it has been elevated now. The partnership to green and innovation and strategic partnership, there will be greater focus on the blue economy, there will be a greater focus on green shipping, and there will be a greater focus on digital infrastructure. All these countries that I mentioned are technologically extremely savvy and have achieved tremendously well, and they are ready to work with India. I mean,
And
that
what do
is
you make
something.
of the added element of enhancing cooperation on defense equipment and then maritime security as well? The joint statement notes India's defense industrial corridors, apart from the fact that 100% FDI is also being offered to Nordic defense firms.
Well, as I said, that if you remember that many of these countries produce a lot of high quality guns, high quality aircrafts, and high quality shipping, and all these are extremely important for us in the DefTech sector, and they are ready to cooperate with India and collaborate with India. And that's why they have said, and Prime Minister was mentioning to them, and everywhere there was a business meetings. Also in that, he said that they should invest a great deal. Secondly, if you remember that with Norway, we had in Iceland, we had signed this India EFTA, TEPA, which is the Technology and Economic Partnership Agreement. Now, in that one also, it was very clear that they will be investing about $100 billion in India over a period of 5 years. Now, those have been activated, and the information about this has been done. They have been provided with all kinds of necessary frameworks to start operating and providing assistance to India and jointly collaborating. Because India provides the scale, which they don't have in their own countries. I mean, that is something that's what they are looking at in India. And if you come to think of it, all of them very actively looking. Green area, green technologies, they are the masters in that. Indo-Pacific, they are very keen to work in. As you know, Norway has joined the Indo-Pacific Economic Oceans Initiative, IPOI, this time. And so they understand that India is a fulcrum of stability and security in the region, and therefore they want to collaborate with an economy which is very diverse. You've heard the Prime Minister of Iceland when she mentioned about that this is sambandh that we want to have with India,
Yes.
and and talked about
Yes, she
the
picked up on what Prime Minister Modi said.
yes. So this is also, they said it's a part of their language also, as sambandh.
Yes,
In fact, the
certainly.
previous Iceland Prime Minister had studied in India, if you remember.
Yes, certainly. And in terms of how they are also enhancing their partnership or at least participation of India in the Arctic region, because that is again becoming a theatre of conflict with the kind of statements vis-a-vis Greenland being an autonomous territory of Denmark. We've heard President Trump making an reassertion of that despite having declared that he will not take Greenland by force. Do you think that is also quite meaningful?
Indeed, I mean, Arctic is going to be the next geopolitical and geoeconomic contestation. And we know that the Arctic Council, India also came out with this Arctic policy in 21. And so we are looking for partners, we are looking for collaborations, whether it is Norway or the Nordic countries, or for that matter, Russia or the United States even. But it has Prime Minister President Trump's statements about Greenland have naturally complicated and created a lot of flutter in these countries. I was in Denmark at a time when these kind of statements were made last year, and their people were really worried about it because you are just impinging on their sovereignty, and there is no respect for territorial integrity. So they are naturally worried about this, and that's why we are seeing there's a sort of a rupture in the transatlantic alliance. And but India has its own strategic autonomy and is continuing to work with all the countries, and Arctic, Antarctic, both the areas. And we have been having this relationship not from now, but it has been there for a very long time with these countries, especially in the Arctic and the Antarctic and the R&D area, and of course in the oceans and other areas as well.
Yes, certainly. And the implications of an enhanced partnership, where it's now dubbed a green technology and innovation strategic partnership, is also not lost in anyone. That is something that has been ongoing even before the summit, and perhaps will be taken up and sped up and enhanced even further. Thank you so much,